Hello, and welcome to another quiz. Before we go on, there were a few problems with the sound last week. Apologies for that. The sound was going through some headphones rather than through the normal laptop mic that I use for this. So, if there's any trouble, if anything sounds kind of tinny or grainy, please let me know in the chat over there. And I will do my best to sort it out. I'm also experimenting with some slightly different plant setup this time, just for fun. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah, so we'll get started in a sec. I just need to announce, because I'm prepared this week, I need to announce who won last week's quiz. And the winners with 28 out of 40 were the runners. Well done. Okay, should we get started? Round one. Round one, as ever, is 10 miscellaneous questions just to get us going. So, question one. In June 2014, it was announced that what would be counted towards the official singles chart in the UK for the first time? In June 2014, it was announced that what would be counted towards the official singles chart in the UK for the first time? Water this week. I wonder if the plant makes me slightly blurry. Oh well, we'll stick with it. Question 2. Which tea company initially introduced the PG Tips brand of tea to the UK? Which tea company initially introduced the PG Tips brand of tea to the UK? I'm going to adjust my camera very, very slightly because I feel like I'm falling into the question box there. Also means you get to see more plant. Question number 3. What word is paired with mott to form the name of a type of castle? In the City of London, a street and a court on the street are named after the old one around the city. What word is paired with mott to form the name of a type of castle? In the City of London, a street and a court on the street are named after the old one around the city. Yeah, I knew I normally said something at the beginning. For anyone who's watching for the first time, if you write down your answers to these questions or type them, then you can copy and paste them, or type them in, I suppose, if you've written them by hand, to the form on my website by the end of tomorrow. I'll give you details of that at the end of the video. Question 4. What was the name of the rap group NWA's debut studio album? What was the name of the rap group NWA's debut studio album? So, how have your weeks been? Mine has been a week. It's certainly been a week. Yeah. I caught up with some Coronation Street today. Isn't life fun these days? Question 5. Which song from the musical Rent repeatedly enumerates the number of minutes in a year? Which song from the musical Rent repeatedly enumerates the number of minutes in a year? In case anyone's wondering, there are in fact 525,600 minutes in a year. As you will know if you've ever listened to that song. Question 6. What was the name of the character played by Summer Glau in the TV series Firefly? What was the name of the character played by Summer Glau in the TV series Firefly? Never seen this series, but the webcomic XKCD refers to it frequently, which makes me think it possibly should. So if you have any questions while we're going on through the quiz, please do pop them in the chat box, which is just to the right, that way. If you are watching on demand, there's a comments box at the bottom. I'll try and keep abreast of anything that goes on in there. Question 7. What is the surname of Charles Montgomery in The Simpsons? What is the surname of Charles Montgomery in The Simpsons? Question 8. Which long-running programme on BBC Radio 2, first broadcast in 1983, is currently presented by Tony Blackburn? Which long-running programme on BBC Radio 2, first broadcast in 1983, is currently presented by Tony Blackburn? It's the second time we've had a BBC Radio 2 question in the first round, yeah. For any international viewers that we might have, Radio 2 is the most listened to station, I think. Usually in a close contest with Radio 4. 4 is the sort of speech-based BBC station, 2 is old music. I think I'm still technically in the demographic for Radio 1, but I never listen to it. Question 9. Which Bremen-based brewery has commissioned Damien Hirst, Tracy Emin, and Rachel Whiteread to design its bottles? Which Bremen-based brewery has commissioned Damien Hirst, Tracy Emin, and Rachel Whiteread to design its bottles? These are all members of the Young British Artists group, I believe. I think they all are. Hirst and Emin definitely are. And finally, question 10. Which Netflix series, starring Darby Stanchfield and Connor Jessup, is based on a comic book series of the same name? Which Netflix series, starring Darby Stanchfield and Connor Jessup, is based on a comic book series of the same name? And that is it for our general round 1. I scratch my nose. Next is round 2, as you might expect. And this week, round 2 is on monarch nicknames. So I'm going to give you some names of monarchs, which are all of the form William the Conqueror. That is not an example. I will also tell you the years that they reigned, so it would be, in William the Conqueror's case, King 1066 to rats I've forgotten, and I want you to tell me which country. So in William the Conqueror's case, it would be England. So the country at the time, rather than necessarily which country it's part of now. I think there isn't a difference in any of these, but just in case, it would be at the time. So, question 1, Ivan the Terrible, Tsar from 1547 to 1575. So where was Ivan the Terrible the Tsar of from 1547 to 1575? Question 2. Ivalo, the cabbage, was the Tsar of which country from 1278 to 1279? Ivalo the cabbage, Tsar from 1278 to 1279. Question 3. Alfonso the Fat was the king of where from 1211 to 1223? Alfonso the Fat was the king of where from 1211 to 1223? The names of the position are how the name in the corresponding language is conventionally translated in English. Similarly, some names of these monarchs are the ones that they're conventionally given in English rather than in their native language. Certainly the descriptions obviously are in English. Question 4. Eric the Victorious, who was king of where from around 1970 to around, not 1970, do you know, when I was writing this question I knew I'd do this. Eric the Victorious, who was king of where from 970, around 970 to around 995? Eric the Victorious was king of where from around 970 to around 995? Question 5. William the Courteous was the Duke of where from 1386 to 1406? William the Courteous was the Duke of where from 1386 to 1406? Question 6. Eric the Lamb was king of where from 1137 to 1146? So that's Eric the Lamb, who was king from 1137 to 1146. Question 7. Tarquin the Proud was king of where from 535 to 509 BC? Tarquin the Proud was king of where from 535 to 509 BC? Or BCE, if you prefer. Question 8. Lulac the Unfortunate was the king of where from 1057 to 1058? Which isn't very long. I don't know if that's why he was unfortunate. Lulac the Unfortunate was king of where from 1057 to 1058? Two to go. Question 9. Dawit the Singer was the emperor of where from 1716 to 1721? Dawit the Singer was the emperor of where from 1716 to 1721? And finally, John the Posthumous was the king of where from 1316 to 1316? John the Posthumous was the king of where from 1316 to 1316? John the Posthumous, I can tell you, the word posthumous doesn't mean that he reigned after he died, it means that he was born after his father died. But because the queen was pregnant at the time, the succession did not pass along. It waited I don't know quite what happened, whether it went, I think there was a regency, until John the Posthumous was born. And unfortunately, John the Posthumous died a few days after he was born. So there you go. That was round 2, and round 3 we're going to look at opposite movies. So this is always the slightly lateral thinking-y round. So in this one, I've replaced all of the words, or occasionally small phrases, in very, very small phrases, in the titles of films by words meaning approximately the opposite, or occasionally small phrases. I should say that all of these won. I thought, we did the Best Picture, we did the sort of highbrow awards, so all of these won the MTV Movie Award for Best Movie, which does give you a slightly different style of film that comes up. But they all won that award, so not just nominated, they won. You'll hopefully see what I mean. I'll see if I should have prepared an example, but I didn't. So, for instance, the film The Sound of Music could have been The Look, unrelated to pictures. Does that make sense? Okay. Probably not, but anyway, let's get going. Round 3, question 1. Commencer -2, Indecision Night. Commencer -2, Indecision Night. Some of these films I really want to watch in the opposite version. I'd like someone to make some of these. Perhaps not Commencer -2, but some of the later ones. Not many of these that I haven't already seen would I like to see in the original versions. Question number 2. A merit outside their moons. A merit outside their moons. One thing I should say, some of the opposites in some of the questions are not necessarily in opposites in the sense in which the word is used in the title, just to make it a bit more complicated. Question 3. Some satiation labours throwing water. Some satiation labours throwing water. Satiation is a really hard word to say. Satiation. Why did I choose that word? I made these up. Why didn't I just use a synonym that was easier to say? Perhaps I forgot that I'd actually have to read these out. Question 4. Adorn novella, Falling Twilight, part -1. Adorn novella, Falling Twilight, part minus 1. Nope, that's the other way. No. Question 5. Ugliness or a being? Ugliness or a being? There's very little to do but play with my hair really during these questions. Question 6. Nelson Damp Squib. Nelson Damp Squib. Perhaps a British taking of the opposite for the first word there. Question 7. A scalar. A scalar. Question 8. Print fact. Print fact. Question 9. Many bad boys. Many bad boys. And finally, question 10. Microscopic. Microscopic. That ends round 3. So as regular viewers will note, that means there's only one round left, and that round is the theme round. So for this theme, I've used the fact that today is International Day of Oceans, I believe. I'll just check what that's actually called. Sorry, World Oceans Day. World Oceans Day. And today is World Oceans Day, which means that our theme round is on oceans. Isn't that fun? As ever, it's not going to be literally oceans. There's going to be some... Well, some of them are going to be literally on oceans and bodies of water, but some of them will be on different meanings of the word ocean. So, let's see how this goes. Question 1. The deepest known point in any ocean in the Western Pacific Ocean is named after which ship? The deepest known point in any ocean, which is in the Western Pacific Ocean, is named after which ship? Question 2. In Canada, the ocean train, should be italicised, the ocean train runs from Quebec to which other city on the country's Atlantic coast? In Canada, the ocean train runs from Quebec to which other city on the country's Atlantic coast? I've realised that, of course, Quebec is... Well, there is Quebec City. I think this is what I mean. Or is that a mistake? I was hoping that this was the week I'd get through without any mistakes, because there haven't been any that I found so far. Yes. Yes, Quebec is, of course, not a city. There is Quebec City, also called Quebec, but this train does not go to Quebec City. No. Oh, no, it does. It does go to Quebec City. Anyway, the point is it goes from Montreal, so that's a mistake. That should be from Montreal to which other city? In Canada, the ocean train runs from Montreal to which other city on the country's Atlantic coast? Rats. Question 3. In which borough of New York City would you find Ocean Avenue and Ocean Parkway? In which borough of New York City would you find Ocean Avenue and Ocean Parkway? Question 4. Ocean Terminal, a shopping centre in Leith, Edinburgh, is home to which seagoing vessel? Ocean Terminal, a shopping centre in Leith, Edinburgh, is home to which seagoing vessel? Question 5. Oceania, along with Eurasia and Eastasia, is the name of one of the superstates into which the world is divided in which novel? Oceania, along with Eurasia and Eastasia, is the name of one of the superstates into which the world is divided in which novel? Question 6. In real life, on which ocean does every... Oh dear, there's another typo. It's doing so well. In real life, on which ocean does every nation in Oceania have a shoreline? That should be capital O there. In real life, on which ocean does every nation in Oceania have a shoreline? Yeah, so that's the real life continent, although some people would dispute that usage of Oceania. Is obviously a part of the world. I'm going to move on quickly from this. That lowercase o is killing me. Right, who played Debbie Ocean? Question 7. Who played Debbie Ocean, the younger sister of Danny Ocean, in the 2018 film Ocean's 8? Who played Debbie Ocean, the younger sister of Danny Ocean, in the 2018 film Ocean's 8? Three questions to go. Question 8. What was the name of Frank Ocean's debut album released in 2012? What was the name of Frank Ocean's debut album released in 2012? Question 9. In the Ocean model of personality, the first 4 letters stand for openness to experience, conscientiousness, extraversion, and agreeableness. What does the N stand for? In the Ocean model of personality, the first 4 letters stand for openness to experience, which arguably is more than just a letter O, but anyway, conscientiousness, extraversion, and agreeableness. What does the N stand for? And finally, question 10. In what year did ABBA finally cross the Atlantic Ocean to give their first performance in North America? It took place in Edmonton, Canada. In what year did ABBA finally cross the Atlantic Ocean to give their first performance in North America? It took place in Edmonton, Canada. And that's it. That is this week's quiz, quiz number 9. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. I now need to tell you how to submit. So, as ever, if you go to www.alexquiz.fun/submit, you will find a form into which you can place your answers and a team name for me to read out if you win. Or perhaps if you don't, but I decide to give a shout out to some of the other teams, which I do sometimes. The deadline for doing that is midnight at the end of tomorrow, which is the 9th of June 2020. If you're watching this on the 10th of June 2020 or later by UK time, which is UTC+1, please don't submit. It will just confuse me because at that point I'll be looking for answers from another quiz. The answers, there's a bit of a backlog of me putting answers up on the website, but they do all go on there eventually. If there's any question you really want to know the answer to, please do message me via there's an email address on the website, or you can put it in a YouTube comment and I will get back to you with the answer. But having said that, whoops, that's the wrong slide. There we go. Having said that, thank you once again for joining me. I hope you've really enjoyed this quiz, or slightly enjoyed this quiz, or just a little bit enjoyed this quiz. If you have, please do click that like button down there. Hit the subscribe button too, and the little bell icon, which will tell you when I put a new video up, which I think it tells you when I schedule it, which I try and do at least the day before. I said last week I might not be back with the quiz this week. I was. I might, however, not be back next week. Just depends on whether I manage. I've got another quiz to write, so it's whether I can write 80 questions in the next week, which will be interesting. So if I'm not back, if I decide to take the week off, I will at least try and post a video with the name of the winning team. But in any case, I hope you have a great week, and that it is safe, and that you stay safe and well and relatively happy. And I swear I should have a more punchy ending than this. I normally have a more punchy ending than this. So, see you later.